Hey, welcome to Sleepy English Academy. Here, you can enjoy relaxing English audio stories with subtitles, perfect for new learners. Listen, learn, and improve your English while you relax. Don't forget to subscribe to Sleepy English Academy and make learning part of your daily routine. Speaker, Officer James Williams, retired. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, students, and fellow members of the community, thank you for joining me today. My name is James Williams, and I stand before you not as a hero, but as a humble man who was fortunate enough to serve his community for over 35 years in law enforcement. Today, I'm here to share my life journey with you. From my humble beginnings in a poor family to becoming a police officer, and the challenges I faced along the way. I hope that by sharing my story, I can inspire those of you who may be struggling or facing obstacles to never give up on your dreams. My journey is not just about becoming a police officer. It's about resilience, determination, and the transformative power of education. It's a story of overcoming adversity, and I hope it resonates with you. Early life. Growing up in poverty, let me take you back to where it all began. I was born in a small town, a place where everyone knew each other, but opportunities were scarce. My family was very poor. My father worked as a laborer, doing whatever odd jobs he could find, while my mother stayed at home to take care of my two younger siblings and me. We lived in a tiny house that barely kept us warm during the harsh winters. Growing up, we didn't have much. Our meals were simple, and sometimes we went to bed hungry. My parents worked hard, but no matter how much they tried, it was never enough to lift us out of poverty. Despite the hardships, my parents were my first role models. They taught me the value of hard work, honesty, and the importance of education. My father used to say, "Son, we may not have money, but we have each other, and we have dreams." Those words stayed with me throughout my life. Childhood struggles. My childhood was filled with struggles that many of you might find familiar. We couldn't afford new clothes, so I wore hand-me-downs from my older cousins. I remember being teased at school for my worn-out shoes and tattered clothes. It was painful, but it also made me stronger. I learned early on that I had to rely on my inner strength and resilience. One of the biggest challenges was balancing school with work. From a young age, I had to work to support my family. After school, I would deliver newspapers, mow lawns, and even clean up the local grocery store. I did anything that would bring in a few extra dollars. It was tough, but it was necessary. Every penny I earned went to help my parents put food on the table. The dream of becoming a police officer. Despite our hardships, I had a dream. Ever since I was a child, I admired the local police officers. They seemed like superheroes to me, strong, brave, and always ready to help those in need. I remember watching them as they patrolled the streets, their uniforms crisp and their heads held high. They represented something that was lacking in my life: stability, respect, and hope. But for a poor kid like me, becoming a police officer seemed like an impossible dream. How could I, with my ragged clothes and empty pockets, ever hope to join their ranks? It was a dream I kept close to my heart, but I rarely spoke about it. I didn't want to hear people tell me it was impossible. The influence of a mentor. Sometimes, all it takes is one person to believe in you. For me, that person was Mr. Thompson, my high school history teacher. He saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. He noticed that I was always reading, that I was curious and eager to learn. One day, he called me after class and asked me about my plans for the future. I hesitated, but then I told him about my dream of becoming a police officer. He didn't laugh or tell me it was impossible. Instead, he looked me in the eye and said, James, if you want it badly enough, you can achieve it. But you have to work hard, and you have to believe in yourself. Those words were like a spark that lit a fire inside me. From that day on, I was determined to make my dream a reality. Overcoming obstacles. The path to the police academy. After graduating high school, I knew that I had to find a way to enter the police force. But first, I needed to find a stable job to support my family and save enough money for the police academy entrance exams. I worked as a construction laborer, waking up at 5 a.m. every day and returning home exhausted late at night. It was grueling work, but I saved every penny I could, preparing for the exam. Preparing for the police academy entrance exam was another challenge. I was not the best student in school, and I knew I had to improve my knowledge and physical fitness. Every evening after work, I would study for hours. I borrowed books from the library and took notes diligently. I practiced math, studied the law, and improved my general knowledge. Physical fitness was another hurdle. I was not in the best shape, but I knew that to pass the physical exam, I had to be fit. I started running every morning before work. It was tough, especially after a long day of hard labor, but I kept at it. I knew that if I wanted to achieve my dream, I had to push myself beyond my limits. The first attempt, facing failure. The day of the exam finally arrived. I was nervous but determined. I gave it my best shot, but unfortunately I didn't pass. I was devastated. All my hard work seemed to have been for nothing. But then I remembered what Mr. Thompson had told me. If you want it badly enough, you can achieve it. I realized that this was just a setback, not the end. I picked myself up, analyzed where I had gone wrong, and started preparing again. I worked even harder, focusing on my weak areas. I was determined not to let this failure define me. The second attempt. Perseverance pays off. On my second attempt, I passed the written exam, but fell short in the physical test. It was a crushing blow, but I refused to give up. I knew that my dream was within reach, and I just had to work a little harder. I changed my training routine and pushed myself even harder, and after several months of rigorous preparation, I was ready to try again. The third attempt, achieving the dream. Finally, on my third attempt, I passed both the written and physical exams. I remember receiving the acceptance letter. It was one of the happiest moments of my life. I had done it. I had overcome all the obstacles and was accepted into the police academy. It felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders, and for the first time, I felt that my life was on the right path. Police academy, the training years. The police academy was tough, both physically and mentally. It was designed to test our endurance, discipline, and commitment to the profession. I knew that the road ahead would not be easy, but I was ready to face the challenges head-on. The rigorous training. The training was intense. We had to go through physical drills, defensive tactics, firearms training, and endless hours of classroom instruction. It was grueling, but I was determined to give it my all. I had worked too hard to get to this point, and I wasn't about to let anything stop me now. I remember the long days and sleepless nights. The physical training was demanding, and there were times when I felt like I couldn't go on. But every time I felt like giving up, I reminded myself why I was there. I thought about my family, the sacrifices they had made, and the dream that had kept me going for so long. Building brotherhood. The academy wasn't just about training. It was also about building bonds. My fellow cadets and I went through the highs and lows together. We pushed each other, supported each other, and grew together. The sense of camaraderie and brotherhood that developed during those months was something I would carry with me throughout my career. The first years as a police officer, after graduating from the academy, I was assigned to my first post. The feeling of putting on that uniform for the first time is something I will never forget. It was a moment of pride, but also a reminder of the immense responsibility that came with the badge. The reality of the job, the reality of being a police officer, was far different from what I had imagined. The job was challenging and often dangerous. I was called to respond to all kinds of situations: domestic disputes, robberies, traffic accidents, and sometimes even life-threatening emergencies. I had to make quick decisions, often under intense pressure. There were times when I questioned whether I was cut out for the job. The stress and emotional toll were overwhelming. But every time I felt like giving up, I reminded myself of the promise I had made to serve and protect my community. I knew that I had to be strong, not just for myself, but for those who depended on me. The challenges of the job, learning through experience. Being a police officer isn't just about enforcing the law. It's about serving the community and making a positive impact. I quickly realized that to be an effective officer, I had to understand the people I was serving. I had to be more than just an enforcer of the law. I had to be a listener, a mediator, and sometimes even a counselor, dealing with difficult situations. One of the toughest parts of the job was dealing with difficult situations: domestic disputes, child abuse cases, and incidents of violence. It was heartbreaking to see people in pain, and it was my duty to help them. I remember one particular incident where I had to intervene in a domestic violence case. The woman was terrified, and her children were crying. It was a situation that required not just enforcement, but compassion and empathy. After resolving the situation and ensuring the safety of the victims, I stayed in touch with the family. I helped them find support services and made sure they were getting the help they needed. It was moments like these that made me realize the true impact of my role as a police officer. Building community trust. Building trust within the community was another challenge. In some neighborhoods, the relationship between the police and the community was strained. People saw us as outsiders, as enforcers rather than protectors. I knew that to be effective, I had to change that perception. I started attending community meetings, speaking at local schools, and getting to know the people in the neighborhoods I patrolled. I made it a point to listen to their concerns and address their issues. Slowly but surely, I began to see a change. People started to see me not just as a police officer, but as someone who cared about their well-being. It was a long and challenging process, but it was worth it. Building trust and positive relationships within the community was one of the most rewarding aspects of my career. Mid-career, leadership and mentorship. As I gained more experience, I took on leadership roles within the department. I became a training officer, responsible for mentoring new recruits. I saw myself in those young officers, eager and determined, but also uncertain and nervous. I knew how important it was to have a mentor, and I took my role seriously. Mentoring new recruits. Mentoring was not just about teaching them the skills of the job. It was about instilling values, integrity, respect, and compassion. I shared my experiences with them, the mistakes I had made, and the lessons I had learned. I wanted them to be not just good officers, but good human beings. It was fulfilling to see them grow, overcome their challenges, and become confident officers. Facing personal challenges. While my career was progressing, my personal life was not without challenges. The demands of the job often took a toll on my family life. I missed many family events, my children's birthdays, and even anniversaries. It was difficult, and at times, I felt like I was failing as a father and a husband. Balancing the demands of the job with family life was one of the toughest challenges I faced. The support of my family. But I was fortunate to have a supportive family. My wife understood the demands of my job, and she stood by me through the tough times. My children, too, were proud of what I did. Their support and understanding were what kept me going. They were my anchor, my source of strength. I knew that I was not alone in this journey, and that gave me the strength to keep going. The later years, reflecting on a career of service. As I reached the later years of my career, I began to reflect on my journey. I had seen so much, both the good and the bad. I had witnessed the best and the worst of humanity. I had made mistakes, but I had also made a difference. I had served my community to the best of my ability, and that was something I was proud of. The importance of resilience. One of the most important lessons I learned over the years was the importance of resilience. Life will throw challenges your way, and you will face setbacks. But it's not about how many times you fall. It's about how many times you get back up. My journey from a poor kid with a dream to a respected police officer was not an easy one, but it was worth it. Retirement, a new chapter. After 35 years of service, I decided it was time to retire. It was a difficult decision, but I knew it was time to pass the torch to the younger generation. Retirement was not the end, but a new beginning. I continued to serve my community, volunteering at local schools and mentoring young people, giving back to the community. I started a program for underprivileged youth, helping them develop skills and providing them with opportunities to succeed. It was my way of giving back to the community that had given me so much. I wanted to be a role model for those kids, just as Mr. Thompson had been for me. I wanted them to know that no matter where you come from, you can achieve your dreams if you work hard and believe in yourself. Conclusion, a message of hope. As I stand here today, sharing my story with you, I want you to remember one thing. No dream is too big and no obstacle is too great. If a poor kid like me can overcome the odds and achieve his dream, so can you. Never let anyone tell you that you can't achieve something. Believe in yourself, work hard, and never give up. Life will test you, but it's in those moments of struggle that you will find your true strength. Embrace the challenges, learn from your failures, and keep moving forward. Your dreams are worth fighting for. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope that in some small way, I have inspired you to pursue your dreams and never give up.
Subscribe for more videos. Your support helps me create more content. Thanks for watching.